How do I find this stuff? Help me! Hey guys, today we're going to be going over something that's actually really important in this game, and not a lot of people know how to do, because it's something that no one wants to do. It's incredibly annoying, incredibly boring, but it's a necessity, especially now since we have Gear 4. There's a big emphasis on farming in the gameplay, and what I'm talking about is gear cleansing. So gear cleansing sucks. I hate gear cleansing so much. The only reason why I'm doing it is for this video. And we're on AJ's account right now, who is my whale friend. So thank you to AJ. I'm just going to be clearing the gear here, and I will be trying to walk you guys through it too. It is very complicated, so bear with me. I might not cover everything. There's a lot to work on with gear cleansing. And something to note with this account is the average gear is far better than most average accounts. As you can see, 90% of it is fully leveled. And even if yours isn't fully leveled, this should still be somewhat relevant on how to clear it. So just follow it along with me. This is going to not be the most structured video ever. I could probably structure it better, but I'm just going to go over what I think is important and how to clear it. So first of all, the main thing to do is to evaluate where your account is at the current moment. That's the most important thing. For an account like this, where you have this many friggin' ancients, you're not gonna have a lot of mediocre gear. That is nowhere near good enough for this account. So anything with like a main stat that works, and then, for example, a main stat that works like this, and then if it doesn't have a perfect amount of substats, for example, is going to be garbage. Because if we look, this is like perfect pieces. You have enough where you're not going to need to keep anything with only 2 substats. So if we go like this, as you see there's more pieces, we're probably going to delete these purely because with the gear on this account, this does not cut it, okay? But a gear like this on an account that's mid-game, even light end-game, you could keep this if it rolls really well. So I just have to preface that by saying you have to evaluate where your gear is. Do you have a certain amount of it brings me to my next point, which is, do you have a certain amount of attack speed gear, or do you have a certain amount of HP based gear, defense based gear? Because you want to really focus on those really unique damage dealer sets. Support sets are obviously important, but the main sets you will need good gear for are DPS. So you do want to keep in mind that you have a couple HP and defense based sets in kind of the background. HP is really good for Gluttony, obviously, and then kind of Abomination. But I promise you that the game will have more HP-based DPS in the future, and also a lot of defense-based attackers and even defenders are coming out more and more. So you really want to keep those DPS defense pieces and work on that. So first of all, what I would do, just kind of to cleanse your palette, is this is very important to click these 3. Do not click the left ones or you will ruin your account by doing this. But I like to click all of these, and then I sort by defense, attack bonus, and HP. You go in, you delete it all. It's all garbage. There's no unit you're ever going to use that for. That's immediate, like a couple spots cleared instantly. Is by finding these main stats for the pieces where those main stats are garbage, and then working on those. And then what I like to do, if you're at a point where you're only using mythic gear, is obviously sort by rarity, and then you find these pieces. Even if they roll well, unless they are a left side piece that rolled exceptionally well, you want to get rid of it. So as you can see, we're going through, we're deleting that all, and instantly, although we're on an account that it's already cleansed a decent amount of gear and has been end game for a long time, we've already cleared 10 spots. We're already at the capacity. That's already some slots. I was looking through, and I noticed that a couple characters were hiding away from me, because in the sell menu, for some reason it doesn't show anyone equipped. I found a lot of characters built like this. So what you have to do is you have to find them, unequip everything, and then actually find the gear that you're selling. So, for example, I found these guys, and they all have some pretty mediocre gear, and we will be selling it all. The Purge. So that's immediately some more slots. So keep in mind that you might have a bunch of garbage gear that's not worth keeping anymore. So make sure to go find that sort of thing. And now what you can do is kind of, this is more monotone, I guess you could say, and that's, you kind of want to just go in and find either bad rolls or bad stats. So I will say you don't need a lot of healing effect gear, for example. So something that rolls like this is basically useless. If you're later game, like on this account, honestly, most crit rate mains are probably useless for you. As you can see here, we don't have that many, but something like this, when are we going to use that? We have so many ancients, none of them are being used at all. That I think it's just, if they don't roll like gold, you could probably just get rid of them, honestly, for this account. Obviously, if you're on an earlier account, some of this gear you would like to keep. Once again, that's why you evaluate your account extensively, and also you need to take into account the kind of sets as well, if you're at least in this far in the game. And then I just kind of like... gear cleansing is very difficult because at the end of the day, you gotta use your own judgment, and you just kind of click on everything. Like, for example, you have to think in your head, who is going to be able to use this? So we think, who's going to be able to use this? We look, it's an HP bonus with attack speed, attack, and it's not that relevant of a stat. Mana Spring is good for Gluttony, but that is it. Who am I going to use this for? Gluttony needs more than this. So he's out of the picture, and then who else would use it? A tank? At this point, we're going to use Ecleptus, or we're going to use Guardian, and nothing else for tanks. This is not going to be useful. And then we go over here, it's a low roll. We have good enough gear to not have this. You know how it goes. And then you just kind of go through, do that process. Who am I going to use it for? Is my gear already too high to the point where this does not meet to that level? Obviously, you're going to have a lot of units that you need to gear, but you should only really be having like 10 sets or something that are really worth it. At least where this account is, because at that point you could just gear swap, right? So other things like this, like these rolls are nowhere near enough to condone owning this. This is not bad for a tank, but I think where this account is, as I will keep saying over and over, we can get rid of it. Not that important. And then we get to the kind of the topic of invig. And I would honestly just keep most of your invig, unless you have like already 5 sets or something that are decent. You want to have some really garbage invig sets, just in case, for your laurels, for your lords that you're only going to have down for like a second. All of that stuff. For like autumn, invig is key and it's very clutch, and you do not need stats on them. Here, these rolled really poorly, but if this rolled a little bit better for this account, I would have kept this. And also, now I'll do all the like heavy gear cleansing later, where I go in and I actually look at everything. But what I will say is there are a lot of pieces which are like barely where you think they would be, or you think they could be good. Like this could be decent. For example, it's 4 stats. Sure, we would rather have attack percent, but honestly, if you have this piece, I would level it to about 8 to 12, and if it rolls well, you can keep it. But if it doesn't roll well, you immediately discard it. So there's a lot of things I do, like on my account, which maybe I'll show at the end. I tend to focus on keeping some decent tank pieces or gear, like as you can see here. You want to keep some with some crit rate, some attack bonus, and stuff like that for Abomination, unless you already have a really good piece for him. So this I would keep for an Abomination piece, level it. If it doesn't roll well, you sell it. But you're going to find a lot of these pieces where they have somewhat relevant subs. There's no HP percent, so I will get rid of that. But something like this could be okay for Abomination, although there is no attack percent, so I would get rid of it. Same with this. Actually, for this, you would kind of, you would roll some of these pieces just in case, and if it rolls well. But what I will do on my account is I will keep any Life Force or Immortal Warrior pieces that have like HP bonus, defense bonus, HP flat, and defense flat, and I'll just level them all, and I'll sell all of the ones that don't roll well, because it's very easy to get these good HP pieces, but you really need to just go in, you need to level them, see which is worth keeping, and just selling. There's a lot of gear rolling. Like this, I would keep it and roll it and see where that goes. Here, I don't think I'll keep that. It's just because I don't see a use for this. Except maybe for Healer Infernal Codex, where you do need a lot of HP on your damage dealers. So maybe I will keep it just in case. We will see how it rolls and stuff like that. So that's just kind of what you want to do for these. With this, attack bonus, crit rate is okay, but I would like crit damage if I'm focusing, or HP bonus if I'm focusing on an Abomination piece. So I'm telling that. That's going to be useless. This, I don't see any use for. Stuff like that. So, like this, for example, I will be keeping to roll up later for Abomination. Here, I don't think it's worth it for this account, but this isn't a bad piece for Abomination. You know, stuff like this, right? This is a perfect Abomination piece if it rolls well. Abomination is actually useful, and I would actually keep pieces for him, surprisingly. So I do think about him occasionally, but for the most part, you just want to keep whatever peak tank gear you get. Like, this is not that great, but it could be useful. This is not very good. I think we could improve that later, but it's not important. And then you want to also kind of think about your healer gear. So your healer gear, there are two types of healers in this game. One is attack based and one is HP based. For the attack based healers, you're either going to build Calamity / Warlord, or I guess you could build like Salvation. So we're going to go through Salvation here because it kind of works for both types. The other type is HP based, which is like Vortex, Sadie, Medan. And for those, you want to try to get either, one second. You want to either get Life Force, or you want to get Immortal Warrior generally. Or Whirlwind is also good for healers. So you just kind of want to keep your sets in mind for those pieces. So once again, Salvation, you want to look through it. If it's decent for an attack based or an HP based healer, you can keep it. But I will say you really want to have attack speed on your left side stuff, because attack speed is just king for healers. But something like this could be usable. You know, we got the HP effect, we got all the HPs. But for HP healers, I would prefer something like Life Force, or I would prefer, yeah, something like Life Force for HP healers. So I will not really be keeping too much in the way of HP healers. But something like this you could keep, because what if this is good for like a Hollow or an Eloin? So this is actually really solid. And then something like this is kind of lacking with the attack speed and all that stuff. This could be solid, so I will be keeping that. You know, you just want to be looking out for these types of specific things. And then I think we go to how, I guess the last thing I will end you guys off on, just as like, this is kind of just a quick how to gear cleanse. It's not the most in-depth, but what I will kind of leave you guys with is, after kind of analyzing what pieces you want to keep for who, like what types of heroes there are in this game. Obviously, attack speed mains are actually not that bad for healers, and also stuff like Calypso for sticks, something like Falcia, something like what's her name? Helga is coming eventually on global. She highly scales up at attack speed. You want to keep good attack speed gear. So something like, I don't know, where's a good example? Whatever, just keep some attack speed gear is what I'm trying to say. But what I'll leave you guys off with is with attacker gear, and how to like easily kind of quickly dissect it. For attacker gear, you could do something like this, for example, and then just kind of look up bad substats and then comb through this, and it'll lower your searches. So as you can see, now we have two things that aren't important. This is not a bad piece, but also this account does not need it. This account does not need that, something like that. But then you'll eventually just find a bunch of attack pieces that are like this, that are just garbage. The thing is, some of these substats could be decent on a Calyptus set, so do be careful. Because this, I could find a use for this, even though I don't personally recommend it. So you do have to keep in mind sets, you have to keep in mind where your gear is at, you need to keep in mind what type of, you know, heroes you have. But something like this, who the hell is going to use this? Crit rate, attack bonus, and then a bunch of garbage. No DPS is going to use this. This you could use on a DPS, rolls well. This account, this is garbage because this is such a whale account. So I will be selling it, but just keep in mind that you should keep that. This is terrible. I would not keep that, no matter where you are. Here, you could keep that, roll it. If it rolls anywhere below these lines, instant trash. I don't care where you are, unless you just started unlocking mythic gear, stuff like that. This is not ideal, I guess, but it's not bad. I would roll this up if you were any other account, as I keep saying, and something like that you could roll if you would like. Here, the subs rolled very bad, so we're gonna sell it. Over here, not ideal for where we're at. And then over here, the subs did not roll very well, so I will be selling it. And then you could kind of just go through that vein of looking up some attacker pieces with some bad substats, you know, stuff like that. Because, like, where are we really going to use this stuff right now? And already we've cleared almost 100 spots. I didn't even go in depth. I didn't even click everything. And the baseline of this account's gear is so insane compared to most people that for the most part, you would keep like this, for example, because perfect subs, even if it's not a relevant main stat, gear set, I would still keep it and roll it just in case you need the broken sets. I don't know. It's all comparative. There is no... The problem with gear cleanse videos, this is bad, is you cannot make a definitive guide for this because everyone is so wildly in a different place that it's impossible to establish a baseline for this sort of stuff. So you have to have the kind of the level of knowledge to know where you're at. Like this, for example, on a mana spring set, I would keep, even for this account, just in case it rolls well, you know. Something like this though isn't really worth it, because like I do not see a world where we have a crit damage person who needs HP, attack speed, and attack bonus. This just does not mesh well together, even on a mana spring, which are kind of rare. And then stuff like this, once again, I would keep if you don't have perfect gear or like a ton of ancients, stuff with crit damage and crit rate, but you do ideally want like attack speed on this, for example. So for this account, this is a really good way to narrow it down. On your account, this will still narrow it down to pieces like this, which are not worth it at all for anyone. Whatever, you kind of get the idea. I hope this was somewhat helpful, even though it's kind of all over the place for a guide. Gear cleansing melts my brain. It is very hard to make a video going over gear cleansing. It's just a big old mess, man. It's a big mess, right? So bear with me here. Obviously it differs very wildly for everyone. And you gotta try your best, right? Before we end off the video, I am going to just level some pieces, and then I'll just kind of show you what generally you want to look for. So for example, something like this has really good substats, so this is definitely worth rolling up. As you see, we have all the gold in the world. It does not matter. For this account, this is immediately garbage, but you could use this. The main stats you want to look for to roll well are your attack bonuses and your crit damage. Something like crit rate you can recover on other pieces. That's not an issue. And attack speed is not as important either. We're looking for something with high crit damage, for example. So you're looking for the main stat that matters here. For example, this, I'll roll it up even though we're not going to use it on the account, just to show you. Crit rate rolled well, but attack bonus was garbage. I would keep this piece purely because it rolled well. For this account, no, because this account is stacked. But you want the attack bonus and the crit rate to be like inverted, basically, is what you're looking for. Let's just roll another piece, because why not? Once again, this is a keeper on most accounts. I would keep this on mine to roll. This is an immediate sell no matter what, because it rolled so poorly. I'm really trying to find one that's actually worth keeping. And also, as you see here, I would remove this from all these heroes and sell it all. I will probably do that later off camera. Apart from the gear not being able to be found very easily, there's a lot of really bad gear from a bygone era. Like, look at this. This is terrible. Like, I have to burn this, basically. But it was very, very hard to find this type of gear. So keep in mind that in the sell menu, it does not show equipped gear, and you really, 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 really have to hunt this stuff down. Because something like this, I would sell normally. This, I would keep because it's a fertile roar, and that could be useful. But, I mean, there's a lot of just terrible gear that's kind of being shafted. Like, how are you supposed to find this stuff? It's 2 blue pieces on a level 1 cell cap. Like, I don't know how I found that. There's so much random like garbage everywhere. Like how how am I supposed to find, how do I find this stuff? Help me! There's like 200 slots alone are just hidden in these terrible characters that just have a lot of random stuff. Oh, Siren, what are you doing? Oh my god. Ah. Like, look at this. It's so bad for this account. It's so bad for this account. This is not bad. But it's just like, who's keeping this stuff, man? So you really have to go find this stuff. It's not worth keeping at all. There is a gear swap feature, so you do not need to keep stuff like this. So yeah, go through, find bad gear, get rid of said bad gear. Just go in and get rid of it. Like, just get rid of it, man. Just get rid of it. It's just a reminder that you will not find many of these pieces at all. Like, look, we found that. I would keep this, but like, how am I supposed to know that that exists to get rid of? Because it doesn't show it. So it's a bunch of random garbage. So make sure to be very monotonous and actually go through your heroes. This is just unnecessary clutter. It doesn't show when you're selling it what gear you have equipped, unfortunately, so it's a little bit harder to sell this stuff. You actually have to go in and manually like unequip it, which kind of pisses me off, but it's whatever. Anyways, we're just gonna roll a couple more. I'm trying to find like a good roll to end off on the video. Calamity piece. Okay, so I guess for the very few people still watching my mental breakdown, I would roll attack bonus on Warlord and Calamity pieces, because if it rolls well, that's a Dolores / Constance piece, and it is highly worth keeping those, I would say. And you really want to just keep that in mind as well. I should cover that earlier. I have to bring up, as I'm looking through this, that you really would like to keep these pieces just in case you get the reforge hammers for them, because although you do have to ascend these, Insight, Wisdom, Soulbound Arcana, Infernal Roar, like Asia's Wrath, I wouldn't ascend Night Terror, but you know, stuff like that, if it's perfect for relevant subs with a relevant main stat like these two pieces and they don't roll well, I would keep them. So we're only taking up 2 slots by this. We're just kind of holding on to them. You know, this rolled okay, so I will keep it. Stuff like that. You really want to be planning ahead for this sort of stuff, right? Just in case you ever really need these pieces and you got a reforge hammer and they have the potential on rolling really well in the future. So I would just keep them. So keep that in mind. You guys are watching a man's descent into madness. Anyways, so that's kind of it. The general things to look for are your baseline, what good sets look like, or good substats, and good synergies between the pieces. Like something like this, where it's a curse set with a healing effect and stuff. This is not really that worth it, although it's not the worst subs in the world. I would personally get rid of this just because the set does not match the stats in any way. And unless it's like perfect stats or really solid stats, I would get rid of it. Unless, of course, you're earlier on. So, yeah. I'm going to go through, get rid of everything, and then maybe I'll tell you guys how well it goes. So what ended up happening is I kind of lost my mind for 2 hours. I cleared like 300-400 slots, and then I died. That's what happened. So this is gonna be the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching. I know the editing's all over the place, but oh my god, this is such a miserable video to film. I hate gear cleansing so much. It makes me lose my mind. But yeah, that's it. I'm going. Destined signing out. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys.